Hi. Okay, I have a really good one for you today. We're going to talk about insults. Insults for translators are really hard to translate. Why? Because from English into Spanish, they really don't translate the same way. And the first one is actually burro. Burro, eres un burro. What does that mean? Burro, technically, literally, it's actually a donkey. So if you're calling someone a donkey, you're calling them an ass. So forgive my language. I know everybody's thinking, why is the professor saying such bad words? I have to teach you bad words when it comes to our translation courses because if you were to be a translator of movies, for instance, which I was for many years in Spain, I had to translate dialogues where people were insulting each other. Therefore, you have to put those insults there, and you also have to make them funny. So, and you have to pick the right ones too. I see abominations in movies where people are insulting each other and then calling each other things that I'm looking at their lips and I see what they're saying in English and I see the dubbing in Spanish and it's really not exactly the same. Maybe it's like a defect of being a translator that I see that stuff, right? So I can't help it. Anyway, so burro, you're being an ass. Eres un burro. Another one would be un tonto. Estás haciendo el tonto, eres un tonto. Now, tonto is a little lighter. Tonto in the scale of insulting. Uh, in linguistics, you could say tonto is lighter. It's more like silly. So you're being silly, estás haciendo el tonto, eres un tonto. So that's not very strong, not as harsh. That's the interesting part also about the cultural issues in translation, which is that in different cultures, insults have a different level of ugliness, so to speak. Um, Whereas there's another one that gets very confused with English, which is idiota. Eres un idiota o estás haciendo el idiota. You're not calling this person an idiot. You're saying it doesn't really have the same meaning. Uh, it's more or less the same, but not exact. It would be more like you're being a jerk. So I think, in my opinion, that the best translation of idiota would be you're just being a jerk. Eres un idiota, estás haciendo el idiota. Another synonym of that, which works great, and in Spain it's used a lot. I've heard that in Latin America, I'm not an expert in Latin American languages. I know more about what we say in Spain, but we say imbécil a lot too. Eres un imbécil, este tío es un imbécil, o te estás comportando como un imbécil, that means you're being a jerk. And that is really very common, especially in Spain. And that's it. There's another one that it's used a lot in Spain, and that could have a lot of controversy because it actually applies to a real handicap of people, which is to call somebody abnormal or retarded. And I know that in English also there is an insult or sort of like calling a person that they're being an idiot or they're being like they're not very intelligent, you're being retarded. So people do say that. In Spain, and I'm not sure about Latin America, but the people do use it a lot. Eres un subnormal, o estás haciendo el subnormal, o para de hacer el subnormal. That's very common. Everybody uses it. Nobody is thinking. You have to think in linguistic thinking that people, when they use insults, bad words have been created for the situation, for the cultural situation. People are not thinking about someone who's retarded for real when they're using that word to insult someone. So in America, People are very careful because people are more politically correct. In Spain, people are not politically correct at all. And basically, they don't really care what people think. When you're angry and you're insulting someone, you call them, you say, eres un subnormal, o estás haciendo el subnormal, and that's it. They don't care. Huh? So you have to kind of like when you're a translator, have like a cold mind about it, and you can laugh a little bit about it and kind of like shrug and just go like, well, that's linguistics of bad words, which we're going to talk more about in these videos. It's a very interesting subject, how swearing has developed in each and every country. And what's amazing is that each and every country has different insults, because when I'm in my translation course and my students are from Ecuador and Guatemala and Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, each one of them tells me there's a different insult, a different kind of insult. And a different kind of derogatory word for a certain kind of person, etc. You know, like how in each country they call, I don't know, people who are overweight, gay people, all kinds of labels. Let's call them labels because that's a linguistic word. We're talking linguistics here. We're not insulting anybody, okay? So this is terminology, semantics, and each country has a different one, and it can get very confusing too. There's a wonderful video online which I will add to my YouTube page of two singers who made up a song called Qué difícil es hablar el español. And they make fun of this precisely, of how they went to different countries, and in each country some things meant something nice, and in other countries some things meant something really bad, which you shouldn't be saying in public. So you could write an entire thesis about it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little session, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.